Hello, everyone, and welcome to Light Camera Author. I'm your host, Jim Juno. My guest today has dedicated much of her career to ensuring stories of Hollywood aren't lost, and every generation rediscovers forgotten stars. But author and historian Laura Wagner has spent decades researching Hollywood's golden age and writing extensively about actors, actresses, and filmmakers whose contributions deserve renewed appreciation. Her latest book is Mantan Moreland, The Complete Career in Film, Television, and Radio, and it's perhaps the most comprehensive examination ever written about one of America's great comic performers. Today we'll explore Moreland's remarkable career, Laura's extensive research, and why this legendary comedian deserves a much larger place in film history. Laura Wagner, welcome. Welcome back to Lights Camera Author.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, as we were talking before the interview began, you were here a few years ago with another book, Hard-Boiled Ladies.
Yeah, Hollywood's hard luck ladies.
Hollywood's Hard Luck Lady. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, it's been a while, but you've been writing a lot of, a lot of research goes into your books, but what inspired you to write a comprehensive book about Mantan Moreland?
Okay, now I don't want to be mean, but there is another book about Mantan by Michael Price, and he interviewed the daughter. But like I was going to write an article for Films of the Golden Age, and I went there to see if there was anything that he said about certain movies that I wasn't able to watch, and all he would say was he had a bit part. That's all he would say. I'm like, but what did he
What?
do in the movie? So I said, you know what? I'm going to do one. I'm going to write it, and I'm going to watch every single movie that Van Tan did, except, of course, for the Lost movies, because there are a few all-black cast movies that are not available. But I watched every single movie. And I just love him so much that I was watching, like, the Charlie Chans. I was watching them
Mhm.
3 or 4 times while I was working on the book, because I love them so much.
A lot of movie fans may know his name, but only from a handful of films, like you mentioned, the Charlie Chan movies, and then I believe it was the King of the Zombies. That was one of his big
Oh, that is
movies.
that's hilarious, that movie.
Yes, and like you said, a lot of well, not a lot, but some of his films have been lost. And for those of you who are not familiar with Mantan Moreland, he was an African American actor, and he performed in a lot of movies, usually as a character role. And a lot of times, they were all black movies, race, what they used to call race films back in the day. But what convinced you the complete, well, like you just said, you saw that other book, and you really did a deep dive into his career.
Well, I have done several profiles on black actors, and they're very difficult to research because a lot of the mainstream, Los Angeles Times and the New York Times, they didn't really bother with black actors back then.
That's true, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you would have to go to the black newspapers, like the California Eagle, and that's also difficult. But if you really search, though, that you can find them, and you can find a lot of gold because they don't care what they say. Those black newspapers are fabulous. I remember Buck Jones, the cowboy actor. He was on some radio show in the 30s where he made derogatory remarks about black people, and the newspapers just blasted him. I never saw it in another paper. I didn't see it in the Los Angeles Times or some of the Philadelphia newspapers, but I found it in the black newspapers. They were making fun of him so bad. It was gold.
And you're
I'm
right. I
probably
mean,
the only one that would think that's gold, but it was gold.
and you're right because what we'll call the mainstream newspapers, they really did not donate a lot of time or a lot of space to African American movies.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, the African American media with like we're located in Richmond here. That's where Lights Camera Author is based. So you have a very well-known newspaper from the days gone by called the Norfolk Journal and Guide, which was like the big newspaper of this region, the big African American newspaper of this region. And then you had the Pittsburgh Courier and then the New York, I think it was the New York News or something like that. So those are where you really had to go on the East Coast. Did you uncover any myths or misconceptions about Mantan that had been repeated for years?
Well, his beginning life really didn't make sense. I know the daughter repeated what her father told her, but there was no entries in the census reports or anything like that to back up his story about, his mother was a teenager, she had an affair with Frank Moreland, and he had 4 children, and none of it made sense. We couldn't find any evidence of that. I
Wow.
I mean, hopefully one day someone will, but we really, did extensive research. Melanie Young does a lot of that for me, and we couldn't figure it out. I mean, it just was he adopted? I mean, it doesn't really make sense. He left home at 15 or 16. All these conflicting stories I found in the newspapers. It just didn't make sense. So we never really could find out if that was his mother that he said, nor the father that he said. It was very confusing. But I think, it's important to put that out there and say, well, maybe this is not, how he came to be. It was
Exactly.
very difficult. So, but I think I got past it a little bit. Once he started to appear in newspapers, that I know I was okay.
You know,
But before that, it's very difficult.
one thing that really is apparent, if and you can go, y'all can go on YouTube and you can do a search for Mantan Moreland, and it'll bring back a lot of items. But the one thing that is really apparent when you're studying Moreland is that he has incredible comic timing. Well, what made him such a gifted comedian?
Well, I mean, he was on stage for many years before he got into movies. He just had that natural gift for, he used to dance a lot. He started out as a dancer. And then he realized, wait, if I say something this way on stage, I don't have to dance. I'm going to, people are going to think I'm funny. And he was just, I don't know, those eyes, you can either say those eyes were great or racist. Well, I've
Yeah,
heard that a lot. But, I mean, he had great eyes. I mean, what are you going to do?
exactly. I mean, he would become, for want of a better term, bug-eyed. He would, I
Yeah.
mean, he could really widen his eyes, and that was his trademark look. Um,
And it's hilarious.
it is, yes.
I
Now,
I don't know why it. My favorite movie of his. It's actually a Charlie Chan movie. Dark Alibi. He
oh, okay.
he walked into a cage with a skeleton, and he tried to get out of this little cage. Oh my God! Everyone, look for that movie. Watch. He's absolutely brilliant, trying to get out of that cage and screaming, "Mr. Chan."
One of the things he was known for was his, I guess you'd call them double talk routines, where um, there was a word, indefinite word, what
Indefinite talk.
indefinite talk. That's what it was. Yes, and it's impressive. And I'll be honest with you, I did not know that he and his partner, well, at the time, I believe it was Ben Carter,
Yes.
um, they developed that. And for those of you who think that Hee Haw did something original, just look at just look at Ben Carter and and Mantan Moreland doing the indefinite talk because Hee Haw ripped them off real bad.
And he later did it with Nipsey Russell.
Yes, he did do it, Nipsey Russell. Because
No,
Ben
I've told
Carter,
people that they're like, "What? No, I was asked to Nipsey Russell
yeah, because Ben Carter died at a relatively young age, I believe in 1943.
at
And
at the Mantan Moreland residence.
yes, I mean
Yeah, he
at
passed away.
Mantan's house, yeah. And
So terrible.
exactly. And But his partnership with Ben Carter was a legendary pairing. So, what made the chemistry between those two performers so effective?
I've seen him with F.E. Miller, and it's F.E. Miller's slower than Ben Carter. Ben Carter brought some kind of edge to that routine, and just the way he draw. I don't know. It's some kind of just it's just something that, well, you probably can't really explain. They just for some reason clicked.
Yes.
One was very sharp, and the other one was, well, kind of doofy, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
doofy. It just was a really, really good pairing that just, he never found another partner like that after that. I mean,
Right.
Nicholas Russell was good, but he wasn't Ben. There was something about Ben Carter I cannot tell you, and I know that, you know, buy my book
Uh,
anyway. But
exactly.
it
you
was
know,
just something that he
and
had.
like you said, he was Birmingham Brown in the Charlie Chan films. So now, why does that character remain so memorable?
Well, him and one of the Chan sons. It was in the DNA of every Chan son to bring him into Mantan into danger. They just they're so great together, and he's just scared at every single. I know. I hate to say that because I think people see him being scared as racist again. But,
Hmm.
Bob Hope was scared in a lot of movies, and Lou Costello was. And no one says, oh, look, there's a white man, and, he's acting stupid. Well, all white people are like that. It's
Yeah.
not true. Mantan just had, the, so he would get his coat caught on something, and he just made it into a little gem. Like getting his foot in a swamp, trying to get it out, and having his love interest in the movie help him out. I mean, it's just so great.
A lot of people consider King of the Zombie his greatest performance, but and like you said, your favorite role was the Charlie Chan movie, but what performance do you think is overlooked and should have
Over.
more? Hmm?
Well, because King of the Zombies, everyone loves. We know that.
Right. Hmm.
Um, every time you mention Mantan, they always say King of the Zombies. They say that all the time because he just takes control of the whole thing. That's what it is. I mean, you don't really pay attention to Dick Purcell and Don Archer, even though I love them, because it's just for some reason they made that into a Mantan vehicle. But if let's see, what movie did he do that was underrated besides the Chan movies as well?
Right. Hmm. I mean, yes.
Um, can I even think? Well, I mean, oh, there's it's actually on YouTube. Um, it's one of those all black movies, and it's one of the few that are out there. It has F.E. Miller in it, and oh my God, not Laura the Jungle is a good one too. That's a really really good movie. If a lot of his movies are available, I don't know how that happened because he was under contract to Monogram, and all of them seem to be out there except maybe two or three. But I would say Mr. Washington Goes to Town is the one that's
Really?
pretty much overlooked. It's on YouTube, uh, and it's just this very very. It's wild. It has like invisible men and all these things are happening that just don't even. Gorillas are running around this hotel. He is so funny in this movie. Well, he's funny in every movie, but this one, it just had a lot of different character bits and invisible men. I mean, how many Invisible Men movies have you seen? You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
it is
You know, uh,
hilarious.
a lot of times also, I mean, you see these performers and as they age, as the tastes change, their roles dried up. And also, I mean, he made the transition from vaudeville to movies, then to radio, then to television. Um, but I was just wondering, did segregation and studio practices limit his opportunities during the golden age?
I don't think it did until the very end of the 40s, after he
Mhm.
left the Chan. The Chan movies, stopped. They stopped making those. It seemed like the AAACP. I think they were putting out the word that they didn't want certain movies. They thought that Mantan was a racist character, and I could see them when they say "step and fetch it." I've seen,
Yes. Mhm.
I've tried to watch him. I have no idea how he became a millionaire. He's just. I don't understand a word he's saying. I,
Yeah. I
he just
know.
mumbles. I mean, I like Willie Best. Willie Best was the same way. Once they got to a certain point, they weren't really welcomed into movies anymore because
No, and
uh,
Willie
you
Best, I
know,
mean, even the name that the studios gave him, Sleep and Eat. I
oh, that's
mean, that's
terrible.
I know it. I mean, it was like, and
And
that's
he
the
didn't
way.
help himself because he was a drug dealer.
Oh, I
Okay,
didn't know that. Yeah.
reportedly a drug dealer, but he was arrested on first marijuana and then heroin charges. I don't
Wow.
think a lot of people know that.
Yeah. Well, one of the important themes in your book is balancing appreciation for his talent, but also an honest discussion about the racial stereotypes that shaped a lot of his roles. But that's what the that's what the movie studios were producing back in the 30s and 40s. Was it right? No. It wasn't right then, it's not right now, but movie studios, let's face it, they wanted to make money,
I mean,
and
Monogram seemed to be the only one to really appreciate him. They put him under contract, which is not normal for African American performers back then. There weren't that many that were under contract. And, he was second billed, maybe third billed, but, he had important characters all the way through those movies. It wasn't just, if he went to MGM to do Andy Hardy, he was the butler and you rarely saw him. It was, he was an actual star of the movie at
hmm
Monogram. So we got to give credit to Monogram for doing that because no one was doing it.
it's amazing. Now, one thing that's always been said was that when Shemp Howard died, Mo Howard and Larry Fine of the Three Stooges wanted to make Mantan the replacement Stooge for Shemp Howard,
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
the studio wouldn't. You didn't find anything to
Well,
confirm
I
or
think it
deny.
was Michael Price that interviewed Mo, um, and that's what Mo said. But it seems, I don't know. I mean, he wasn't. I don't think he was the type. I mean, would they going to slap Mantan? It really doesn't. Doesn't it sounds
Yeah,
awful to me?
yeah,
I
and
mean,
the way it would be perceived is something that even for the 1950s, it just I don't know how well it would go over.
I know it was just maybe wishful thinking on most part, but
Yeah,
yeah, I only saw that in one. Well, I the original thing I think was Michael Price, and then everyone just quoted him from there, and it might be true, but I don't know. I don't know. Mantan was the type to do that.
you know, uh,
He's no
yeah,
Shemp. Even though he and Shemp really were good. They were in a movie together, and they were really funny together.
yeah,
But
and
a
Shemp did his
replacement,
yeah, and Shemp. Let's face it, Shemp did his share of being scared in every Stooge. I think in every Stooge short that he was in, and nobody said boo about that. So it's like,
it's just a comic staple. I don't think anyone realizes that.
yeah,
You
you
know,
know,
they're looking at it through today's lens, and they don't realize, back then that was the comic staple for
exactly, yeah.
white, mostly white. I think there were more white cowards in movies than black.
You could be right. I mean, you could it could be very well true. When people compare the great screen comedians like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd, or even the Marx Brothers, but do you think Mantan Moreland deserves to be part of that conversation?
Um, as much as I love him, I don't think that he was given the vehicles that the others did. I mean, it's not like he was this big star of, comic shorts. They should have given him, maybe a short series, so we could see how he, dealt with the whole thing, by himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think he's better than all of them, but because he's my favorite. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what did you learn about his career or his life or as a person that readers may not expect?
Well, first of all, everyone thinks he was only married once. He was married twice,
Hmm.
and what they would do, the second wife's nickname was Goldie, and she was a beautician, and they would give that name to his first wife, which was confusing at first to me. I'm like, wait, nobody called her Gold. And then I found out that he had two wives. The first wife, well,
Ah.
I don't. She was a little domineering, to say the least. I mean, she beat up. She had this huge fight. I don't know if you read the part in the book where they owned an apartment house, and one of the tenants, she had this brawl with this guy, and he had to hit her over the head with a skillet. It was just the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life. But I mean, I know he loved her more than um, like kind of like Jack Benny and Mary Livingston. They had a strange relationship, but Jack loved her more than
Yeah.
anyone else he could have met. But he had that second wife, which didn't last. But he still was in contact with the first wife, who was the
Well,
mother of his child.
well, how did you
But
find
that
out
was
about? Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
no. I was just gonna say. I mean, it was just a weird relationship, but it seemed
Uh,
to work. I mean, for a while at least.
well, how did you find out about the uh the domestic I guess you might repertoire repartee?
Well, it was in the newspaper. There were big, headlines about the wife just eating up
Wow.
people. Well, that's something that the black newspapers did best. They
Yeah,
told the truth. They weren't going to hold back.
that's right. Well, I tell you, Laura, thank you. I want to thank you so much for being here tonight. The author's name is Laura Wagner. The book is called Mantan Moreland, The Complete Career in Film, Television, and Radio. And
And
it
also, I
gives,
have a new podcast, which is that well, it's on YouTube. It's called Hollywood Around the Edges.
really? Okay. Like, so everybody, check out Hollywood Around the Edges on YouTube.
Like this.
And also you can check out this one on YouTube and also on TikTok and again on Spotify and all over the place, Apple, iHeartRadio, whatever. But
You're
Laura,
everywhere.
I'm trying to be. Laura, I really want to thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me because I enjoy your show and I love Mantan and I hope everyone gets that when they read the book that I really enjoyed his work.
Well, thanks to everybody for listening and for watching. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe to Lights Camera Author wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, I'm Jim Juno, and this has been Lights Camera Author.